Oh, great, thanks. Well, do you want to go ahead and start, Yvonne? Is that okay? You want to wait? Can we?
I didn't need just 1 minute because I'm pulling up the dashboard too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. While we're waiting there, Mike, I'm not trying to, override Mike Hahn's leadership in that whatsoever. Let that be known there. Mike was out of town and just charged back hot here today. So he asked me to fill in. So no struggle for power here. Hahn is still the recognized leader.
Thank you, Gary. Hey, John, I really like that look. Is that a goatee you're growing there, or what's the deal, man?
This is COVID casual.
Nice.
Yeah,
one nice thing about this unplanned trip to Omaha, my son has a barber that he roommates with, so I was able to get a haircut.
Nice. And you only had to go to Omaha.
I talked to my husband and let me cut his hair last night. It was getting very mountain man, and I'm like, all right, this has to be dealt with.
Did you use the bowl, Yvonne, or what?
No, luckily, see, he has curly hair, and curly hair is very forgiving. So you can cut it, and it all just kind of fine. It's fine. It worked out really well, I thought.
I mean, I don't know what's under Drangler's hat there. I wonder if there's hair or anything there. So.
There you go.
Go ahead, Gary.
All right. So I think first thing, just the assessment on today, as I think Tabitha, you noticed, we have, I think our grand total was 34 online that I saw, which I'm pretty sure, Yvonne, that's the best we've had on a Zoom meeting. So
definitely. Great job, everybody.
Any comments, whether it's mechanical or just the quality of the discussion, thoughts on today's panel discussion, and again, overall the Zoom, the change, evolution having Zoom meetings.
I think it's been helping us with getting the out of town folks, like the people from New Ulm and Montgomery and Austin and stuff like that have been tuning in over the last couple of weeks. I think it's been helping in that respect because they don't have to travel and they can kind of see what we do and get a feeling for it. So that's been one positive.
Mm-hmm. I think it's been great, but this is my own experience because I think I have about 3 or 4 of these per day, but I'm getting Zoom fatigue, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
My computer has Zoom fatigue.
Yeah. Right. As we go forward, I'm thinking a lot about fall and stuff too, and the idea of shared experience. For example, Thursday night, I've mailed popcorn and candy to my little grandson and his parents, and we're going to watch Dinosaurs Alive. It's an IMAX movie, and they're doing this for free. They've opened up a bunch of the IMAX movies so people can watch them for free from home with their kids. So on Thursday night at 5:30, they're going to start up the movie. We're going to start up the movie. We're going to pop popcorn. About halfway through, we're going to stop, kind of see what he thought, like what dinosaur did you like the most? And, what was the scariest and stuff. I think that's one of the things we can think about with Million Cups is how can we create shared experiences for people so that it feels a little bit beyond just the Zoom thing, Like we have the coffee sponsorships. Could we send coffee in some way, whether it's like a little packet of coffee or little Keurigs or something, send a little coffee in a little cup or something to people. I don't know. I think that would be fun because then you get this little package and, oh, okay, this is my little thing. And everybody can hold it up and show that they're drinking their coffee together. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be a fun thing to think about is if we can figure out some way to do a little bit more of a 3-dimensional shared experience.
Well,
I love dreaming up stuff like this. I did the best things for Easter. I had everybody Easter egg coloring and watching each other color their eggs and folding them up. And
well, to that point, and maybe keeping it logistically in cost, since we have no budget, Lisa Hughes triggered this, and seeing John with his Peppers hat on, maybe we should emphasize sometime, hey, your favorite coffee cup, bring your unique or favorite coffee cup, or then your unique hat. And we encourage them, and part of, show your, show whatever it might be, whether it's the coffee cup, whether it's hat, or, with a lot of people missing baseball. Hey, wear your, if you got your baseball jersey, your favorite team. Maybe we have something like that to make a little personalize it, and that wouldn't cost us and wouldn't have to have much logistical issues to handle.
I like that.
I love that idea.
Or show off your coolest new promotional product for your business,
Right, right.
You can kind of hold up their thing, and
Any other suggestions here, and then we'll move on.
I think for me as the MC, the chat has worked really well. I like that Yvonne will private message me, and I accidentally private messaged Stephanie instead of you. I'm like, oops, wrong person. So I'm getting better at that. But that seems to really, let us know as to, how things are going. I mean, when it's a presenter, it's easy to cut people off, but this was just, I was overwhelmed with all of the communication, the conversation, and the ideas and the collaboration today. It was really impressive.
One other thing that with Zoom that I'm trying to pitch, because with the on the road folks, early on, I think the thought was that, hey, we're kicking this off in Montgomery, New Ulm. They don't know much about 1 million cups. So to reach out on Zoom, weren't that going to be that interested. They wanted that really more grand event, Bobby, to see and feel and experience the event. Obviously now we have no idea when we're going to get to that point. Is what I've been pitching is say, hey, at least get on there and get familiar with Zoom. Not everybody, like some of you said, hey, you have 3 or 4 Zoom meetings a day, you're zoomed out. But a lot of small business people like, I'm not real good technology, the Zoom thing, I encourage people, hey, join in and get some experience at a safe environment. You're not risking looking bad in front of a customer. You're just with a positive group. Maybe we should integrate in a simple Zoom tip. Like we had one called, people didn't know, well, how do I change and stop the video and just put my name up there? How do I do that? Or people said, well, raise the hand. How do I raise the hand? I don't know how to raise my hand. And so, while a number of us have had enough experience, and it's not that big a deal, for many people, they're not that familiar. So maybe if we embed a simple, hey, here's the Zoom tip for today. You go up on the screen and you can see people. I don't know.
Gary, I think you nailed it. Yeah. If we were to put out a sort of a how-to Zoom, I think you would attract a lot of people that would join in, that would like to learn. I noticed it because I got involved with it, when this hit too, and I got involved with. There's different sites that you can go to that have the availability of teaching, that short teaching methods of the latest and greatest on Zoom, and it's constantly changing. They're upgrading all the time, and there are also, I think that it'd be a very attractive kind of presentation. And there'll be a lot of people that would probably join in, especially small businesses, because there's a lot of people that would like to get involved that don't know how.
And maybe it's simple in the interim right now, Tyler and Caitlin, if you put a link to that to try to help prime the pump. Hey, feel more comfortable joining in on 1 million cups via Zoom. Here's a link to a vignette on the tips of how to maneuver Zoom. So
I did create a video on how to present on Zoom. I posted it on YouTube and I shared it in Slack. And Ben said he's already shared it with a couple of other communities. It's just a short little thing, like if you're in the Zoom meeting, here's how you share your PowerPoint, little tips for like getting your face up into the screen and not being, you know, back like this, checking your sound, you know, stuff like that. So it's just a really basic little 5-6 minute video. And I think I saw something where the Kauffman Foundation has a whole series of stuff where they point to a bunch of different Zoom trainings.
Oh, great. I hadn't really discovered that, so thanks for pointing that out. Let's go ahead and move on to point number 3, which I think is real critical, is we're getting some momentum with the Zoom, as I think we're feeling and witness today, but we need to keep recruiting presenters.
Mm-hmm.
And Yvonne's made a very passionate pitch about returnees, and we did get No Touch was returnee. We've got the trio wine, beer, trio coffee, wine, beer, or ale house from Wasika that's queued up at the end of May, but we need to recruit more. So are there any suggestions of other businesses that would be prime candidates that we need to reach out to that you've seen that we need to get after? Or you have anybody have leads that you're fostering right now? And I see, if you haven't noticed, that Ben McDougall from the Midwest has joined, just as Yvonne, and Ben will come back around and give you a chance here to get some tap into your insights. So we appreciate you being with us today. Look, recruiting, any feedback from the gang here?
One of the things we talked about at the meeting in April 8th was everybody committing to contacting 1 or 2 past presenters, people that they found interesting, and asking them to present again. That would be something that'd be really helpful. Honestly, guys, this week I was super stressed out because we didn't have any presenters. We didn't have anything planned as of last Wednesday. So I was scrambling. At the same time, I also had finals and was covering for some other folks on some other things because they were sick. So this was a really stressful week because we didn't have any, you know, presenters lined up. It ended up turning out amazing. It was great. You know, I think the panel and Lisa and everybody did such a great job, and everybody here did such a great job of, you know, talking. I should just relax and assume the community's going to take care of things. But, you know, like as of a couple of days ago, we were going to try and have another presenter, and I wrote to her and didn't get a response. And we had another presenter who had said he was going to do it, and he backed out. So yeah, I really, you know, think we've got to get some more presenters kind of in the pipeline ahead of time so we don't have that stress.
I think Tyler had a good idea about doing some Facebook ads to do some general promotion and try and recruit presenters in. We do have $1,000 set aside, so I think that can be a tool to run some sponsored ads and overall promote 1 million cups.
I think that was one of the agenda items from last month too, was that Tyler was going to talk to you about how to get that money and how to, so that he can get the ads placed. So maybe you guys can chat after.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Ben, let's see.
Caitlin was starting to say something. Go ahead, Caitlin.
I was just curious, has Maggie presented at all? With
She
her,
presented a while back, but it'd be nice to have her back again now that
because
finals
I
are
know
over.
that she's now making face
Yes.
masks. She's kind of twisted her business plan a little bit in order to like compensate for the
Pivoted.
for
Mhm.
face masks for people. So I think that might be an interesting presentation that we could possibly get her to do.
Yeah.
And so to that point, can you, Caitlin, can you contact Maggie and ask her for, she could reapply and present sometime?
Yeah, definitely.
Great, great. And Ben put a notice up there that about a talk, and he gave us the YouTube, but you want to comment and add more to that, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here, and cheers to all of the 1MC organizers in the house. 1MC Wednesdays are my favorite days of the week. And it's been a real
Us too.
treat to stay in tune with the Mankato community. You guys are on fire. That weekly cadence, I'm so thankful that it's provided a chance for entrepreneurs to stay connected and in a more ongoing basis. That consistency is the secret sauce. And so when I think about fueling the pipeline, I jumped in a little bit late, so I'll be concise with a couple thoughts that might not have been discussed. is kicking it back to your community. The networking effect of having your organizers touch base within their network is one thing, but activating the community and asking them if they know folks who might value the opportunity of presenting starts to diversify who's being invited to that experience. The refill effect, having folks, because you're weekly, 6 months passes, and inviting those folks back to get a little bit of a refill might be an interesting way, especially with the virtual experience, right? They presented 6 months ago. Let's bring you back into the mix and see how things are going. That can create an interesting, almost like I've invested into that company by providing insight during the Q&A, and now I get to see how you've taken that and evolved as a business owner. So tapping into the refill factor. And then lastly, I would add the leveraging of nearby communities. I was in Rochester this morning. I was talking to Minneapolis and St. Paul. Eden Prairie's got a great, vibrant thing going on there. And so Minnesota alone has 6 or 7 different communities. And so without the limitation of proximity, knowing that you can invite folks not only from Minnesota, but all around the Midwest and around the country to present in this virtual environment when it costs $0 to travel is a silver lining of this time, knowing that as you get back to normal, inviting folks to travel and thickening their experience in Mankato while they're there will create connectivity even after they leave. And so leveraging nearby 1MC communities to fuel your community pipeline is another little piece of that puzzle. But it really is a collection of fuels, activating them in different times, and as a whole, reducing the stress that Yvonne mentioned by having a pipeline that is built out a little ways. But it does take the entire team, that is for sure.
Mm-hmm. I
Great.
did invite 9 different companies from other towns, from Rochester, Wilmer, Eden Prairie, St. Paul, especially ones that kind of look like they were not quite as local. They were, app companies, things like that, where they'd be a little more interested in reaching out. I heard back from 2 so far. So hopefully we'll get them in pretty soon.
And I do have one potential lead. I know we had Chelsea Hoffman from St. Peter, that she was our on the road, and Amber Bannerman, she's got her Soda Sisters in North Mankato. It's a boutique, and she's really kind of shifted her business, and I think that might be a great opportunity. She's going to be in my BNI group visitor day today, and so we have a one-on-one scheduled tomorrow. So I really wanted to, just chat with her and see if that would be something that she's open and willing to look into. But she's phenomenal, and I really think that would be a great opportunity to support North Mankato.
Great, Tabitha. So let me just check. I think next week, the 13th, we do have Aaron Berry queued up from Montgomery. That's one of our on-the-road spots. The 20th, I don't have in my head, what we have somebody slotted in for the 20th, don't we, Yvonne?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up myself here so that I can be correct about who's which week. The 20th is Megan Holt, Health Coaching. And then the 27th is Trio.
Yes. All right. So we've got those. And again, this is another point I think here is that we've been in most cases now been doing getting one presenter a week and having some sort of discussion or panel. And we were going to have more of a discussion. We just ran out of time today with the community to talk to the community people to say, hey, here's help us find other businesses that are candidates to present. We really ran out of time out of that. I think part of our pitch in my mind in finding some of those, and maybe they're not truly the less than 5 years, but those that are retooling, which I think is still part of the Kaufman focus of finding businesses are retooling and being innovative. And now we have a number of those are happening with the virus, that companies have turned around and maybe refocused on PPEs or did something else different with their business, even, reinventing how they can reach their customers, whether it's curbside or special delivery type of thing. So to me, that broadens out a little bit more to get some of those businesses present and tell their story that can be motivating to others to be entrepreneurial in their business, to try to recreate themselves, if you will. So that's something we didn't ran out of time today, and kind of a good thing, but which we're trying to integrate moving forward a little bit more, to your point.
A quick question. We did ask the question, and we've asked it a couple of times, and we usually kind of get crickets from people in terms of, responding. Ben, do you have any suggestions for how to word it, how to word the question about, like, we're looking for ideas for presenters that we might reach out to? The way I put it was, who should we be celebrating? Who should we be supporting? That's out there. But can you think of ways that you've heard that worded where we've gotten more response from people?
I think of the opening remarks and talking about the moment where you're, hey, who's here for the first time? All right, cool. We like to track our newcomers. Welcome, welcome. One tactic you can use is connecting them. Hey, who's an organizer in the house? All right, newcomers, make sure you find an organizer. This is a little different in the virtual environment, but connecting them with organizers, which generates some of the social currency of being an organizer, but also allows you to control the first impression that a first-time attendee might experience, which naturally kind of guides into. So for those who are here for the first time, but also for those who have been here since the beginning, this is a little bit about what 1 Million Cups is all about. And so you can do it as the MC. That can become robotic. And so kicking it back into the community and, throwing it to an organizer to share what they, perceive as what 1 Million Cups is all about is a fun way of engaging the community and hearing it in different, narratives of what your 1MC is all about. And that then also translates into a natural opportunity to explaining kind of the format. We've got some great presenters here this morning, and then allowing that to naturally open up the invitation for, hey, and if you're ready to present, what a neat opportunity to learn from the perspectives of this community in a safe space where you have collaborative folks who understand where you're coming from and want to help building. So now you get the exposure to the folks in the audience, but then even layering on that invitation of, look, if you're, an entrepreneur, we know you're connected with other entrepreneurs who might also enjoy being a part of this community, attending on a regular basis, but there's also this chance to present. And so you kind of keep building the layer of understanding with your audience until hitting them with that offer and that invitation, that opportunity of looking into their network and bringing in folks who might be interested in presenting, knowing that if you can activate that activity, they are going to be bought in, right? If I introduce Kate to the idea of presenting, you can bet I'm going to be in attendance when Kate presents. And so it can actually churn some community buy-in by building from within.
I like that idea a lot. I like the idea of, the organizers being the ones telling what 1 Million Cups is about instead of playing the video each time. I think that's a really cool idea. And it would lead naturally into, like, Tabitha telling about what 1 Million Cups means to her and then ending it with, so I'm one of the organizers. I just talked about this. If you're new, anybody wants to talk to me about presenting, talk to me afterwards or send me a chat. I think that's really neat.
Yeah, if you have all the organizers in that same mindset and can do that lead on type of invitation, it's coming from different people, and it almost makes an even broader impact that way. The mention of some marketing materials going out in this type of lens, trying to generate presenter pipeline, can really work. I know that there's some financial resources available to your community. And so even with, little $5, $10 campaigns, you can have a very focused message on a call for presenters, knowing that you might end up with people who don't quite get it. And so, a lot of conversation with this group about coaching has been enjoyed. Instead of trying to get in the weeds of their business or, really diving in deep with the coaching aspect, encouraging folks to attend before they present is the easiest way to coach folks on the environment that is 1MC. It also allows you to almost unknowingly vet folks to make sure that they're a good fit for presenting. But the social media stuff with a small amount of cash can generate some pretty interesting application.
Ben, I would like to ask you about the resources that are available for presenters on a national basis. Is there some kind of a cheat sheet that we can look at that has these presenters? Are you grading them, or is there a grade, good, bad, ugly, or some, something that we can get? The resources here are, you're right, it's unbelievable what we can do on a national level all of a sudden for availability for presenters. How do we get a hold of these people? How do we know who's who?
Yeah, great question, Bobby. And it's nice to see you, pal. The quick answer is that there's not a cheat sheet. It would involve going out to communities and taking a peek at some of their past presenters. You guys do a phenomenal job of finalizing those. And so you've made it easier for folks to come in and identify folks who might be a good fit for presenting in their communities. And so that opportunity does exist. It's a little bit more manual. One thing that caught my attention in your remark is that it's not always the good presenters that you're looking for. It's tempting, I think, as event organizers to want a very polished experience, knowing that that's going to impress the audience. But truly, what you're actually trying to do is help support entrepreneurs and accelerate, educate their business development efforts. And so finding folks who might catch the eye of an attendee is one thing, but also being open-minded to looking for folks who truly actually need the help. And it might not be the sexy presentation, but sometimes those poor presentations have the most value for the entrepreneur presenting. And so having that type of mindset will almost unlock your ability to reach out to more people when it comes to facilitating a broader type of pipeline. I can make introductions to folks just today. Rochester with Mayo Clinic. I actually invited a high school group that I saw present last week in Northwest Indiana to apply for Mankato, knowing that you've got the college town flavor, you've got some health industry connectivity. And so if there's anything I can do to facilitate those conversations, I think you're connected enough to do this type of work on your own. But I'd be happy to continue guiding people your way if that's something of interest.
Yeah, I think by all means, we should try to leverage that, and having another voice from the outside help promote and educate people about 1 Million Cups does not hurt whatsoever. Let's move ahead here as a program discussion questions. The other part to link with the presenter, as I said, we've been primarily trying to get one person slotted in. We had some discussion on different things to do with Connect Business Magazine. Yvonne, we went back and forth of some of those that were discussed before and try to bring those back around. Can you kind of bring those couples up? The legal, we had a couple other ones like today that we talked about doing.
Yeah.
Remind us.
After this discussion, we'd also talked about doing one about legal resources for businesses. We talked about one, resources for diverse businesses. So if we stay on schedule, we'd be doing, next month, we'd be doing the legal. And then the month after, we'd be doing resources for diverse businesses. And then in November, we were going to, for our anniversary, we were going to talk about and do a panel about the on-the-road experience and, kind of the regional, what's been happening with that, and kind of what positives have come out of doing that on-the-road experience. So that was the schedule that we had. It was about one a month or so. I think there was a bit of a lull in 1 month there, August or September, where we weren't going to have anything. But that was the schedule.
Yeah. So in addition to those, are there other topics of interest, or and Mike, there might be some from an SBDC with some of those programs, how to maneuver some of those programs, or what else could we highlight to complement that would be value add for our 1 Million Cups participants, our attendees? Other ideas?
Well, I think, we're kind of doing this from the SBDC standpoint with webinars, but I think that if the community organizers feel it's helpful to maybe have a panel of just the different agencies. I mean, they're busy now, but maybe what we need to do is get someone from Twilight Kennedy from SBA. Maybe we need to get somebody from D that can talk about UI. And also, I know that John, I know that, you know, Greater Mankato Growth has keep tracks as far as local programs for COVID-19. I don't know what the status, some of them were getting exhausted, but you know, to talk about what the communities are doing as far as in this post COVID-19 environment, I think might be helpful as far as from a panel's perspective that we can work on. And I think that we can probably get people together probably at the end of this month. I think hopefully things are slowing down enough in which if we give them a few weeks on their calendar, they can plan for it.
Okay. Hey, Mike, what about also something with Launch Minnesota?
Yep. That's a topic that we could talk about as well. Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna have a meeting about that in about 5 minutes. So I can get you more information back on that as well.
Okay. Well, let's move on then and before we lose you, organizer team.
So hold on, before we go on, we don't
Yeah.
have a discussion topic for next week. So in the interest of stress reduction,
Okay.
we select a topic together so that it's not just me coming up with things to do. One possibility is we could show a video, you know, a past video like Guardian Athletics, and we could talk about them and maybe even invite them to come in, just like we show their video from their past presentation and they give an update. Another idea was to show the WOW presentation video from the Kauffman Foundation. If you guys have something else, I mean, the idea is entrepreneurial education and hearing from entrepreneurs. Do you have any thoughts about what would be good for those discussions for next week? Because I don't want to be laying awake anymore.
Well, you know, one of the things we talked about earlier was the Zoom education. So, you know, I think if there was something that could be done with that,
Okay.
or the WOW, the presentation, that I think either of those might not be bad.
I think you should put
I
Zoom.
really do like the Zoom idea,
Yeah.
and here's why. I was very, very skeptical of the online stuff until our business went that way, and it really opened my mind in regards to how many people we can impact in other communities that will impact us. Because now we have the ability to maybe have somebody even from Tennessee that's watching one of our 1MC, and they have a great idea or connection for somebody. But we have to make sure that people feel comfortable getting with Zoom, because it is really simple. And then if we, you know, can show them just different links or whatever. But I feel like America's going this way. And small business owners have to understand that, you know, in order to go with the new America 2.0, maybe we have to get uncomfortable, like all of us had to. So just thoughts on that.
That's a good one.
All right, let's go with the Zoom kit now to get those tips. Who can help kind of lead that? Tyler, I know you and Caitlin are doing a lot of things in marketing, but you think you'd mentioned that there were some resources. Is there something there that we could pull from, or I don't know who our Zoom expert besides Yvonne is on using Zoom that could kind of help facilitate that conversation?
I've got that YouTube video. Potentially we could just
yes,
that,
that you already
and
created.
then talk about it.
Yeah, that's right, of course.
Mhm.
Well, I'd say plug that in.
Nothing
There
else
is
to do, you can just run it.
right. There's a Zoom model that comes out. There's a Zoom model that comes out. I just picked it up on a business cycle the other day. I think they're coming out every 3 or 4 days. They're updating Zoom with new stuff. You know, you dial here, or this is what you can do here. And I'm not a big participant, but I've been sending it out to the people that are. So I'll send one out to you, Gary, and see what you think of it.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. And Yvonne, I forgot from the beginning, and the YouTube video that you created, that was like 6 minutes or something. How long is that video?
Yeah, about 6.
I would be all in favor of doing that, and then to work off of that video. If Tabitha, are you online to MC next week? Is that possible for your schedule at this point? Tabitha?
I'm good.
All right. So Tabitha, why don't you work with Yvonne to take a look at that and be able to kind of facilitate the discussion and the points in that video with the group for next week.
Sounds good.
Great. And I see Yvonne's shared then the dashboard. So you want to point out some things there, Yvonne?
I was just going to show how obviously our attendance today is our highest since we've gone online. January's average was 25 people. February's was 27 when we were in person. And March and April, since we've gone online, has been 27. Our online average is, online average has been 22, but now this is going to bump it back up to an average that's pretty close to what we were doing, when we were in person. I thought that was kind of cool. Up to 383 likes on our Facebook page. Good job, Tyler and Caitlin. Getting close to that 400.
Awesome.
Top post in March was about Trio. And the top post in April was the April 20th meeting reminder, where we were kind of reaching out, letting people know we were back and we're online and come and join us. That was kind of cool. I thought it was interesting to look at the demographics. 65% of the people that are looking at our Facebook page are female. And many are 25 to 44 years old, and they're mostly from the Mankato area. A lot of kind of younger to middle-aged women. That's kind of cool. And then I put, here's who's coming up. And I'm not sure what to do about all of our sponsors. We've got the folks like, obviously with Tailwind, we can do the advertising. The coffee sponsors, maybe we can talk to them about sending out some coffee or doing something fun. And then what was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh yeah, they had like all the donuts and all that kind of stuff. That's just all kind of on hold for right now. We can talk to Dunkin' Donuts and do like a donut pickup or something for 1 million cups.
What if we did, since we're doing it weekly, what if we did something like who wins not the mug, but they win coffee and donuts, and then they come back the next week and they're sharing that, hey, I got the donuts and I got the coffee.
Oh, that's a neat idea. Oh, I just wanted to show you that's the numbers that for the dashboard so far, and this is on Slack, so you can pull it up from there anytime. And then I did some overall presenter stats for us. I've also put these online. Let me see here, of all of our presenters. I know this is tiny, so I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see. So I listed out every presenter from the beginning of when we started and noted if they're a local person, like from the Mankato area, and that includes our on the road folks. And then if they're a student or community, and this is presenter 1 and presenter 2 on the same date. So this document is also out on Slack. And I thought it was just interesting to kind of see, where we're at. We've had 65 presentations, 45%, 70%, about 45 of them have been local. We've had about 30% students and 70% community members.
Yvonne, I'm confused. You're just between local and community. What's the difference?
These are two different things. Students and community is one division. So 30% are students, 70% are not students.
Yeah, I get that.
And local area are they from the Mankato area, or did they come from, for example, the Twin Cities or Iowa or someplace like that?
So local, and so I still don't differentiate between local and community. I get that student, non-student, I get that.
I'll move those separately. So 70% of our people are from the local area, 30% are from outside the local area. Separately, 30% are students and 70% are not students.
So community is outside the area?
No, it's non-students.
Non-students.
I've called it,
Okay.
I've always called it like we have students and we have community members that are presenting.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. So
So for,
That-
I changed to
that's-
non-students to clarify.
I get that now. Non-students to new, I get that. Local and community seem to be the same. I get it. All right. Let's move ahead here. We're
Okay.
running past our normal time here. We skipped past organizer team. We've had some changes. You know, John with being swamped and somebody else that pulled back until things kind of settled out. And we lost, my understanding, Yvonne, that Jennifer Wanderscheid is no longer, that she's going to be transitioning out of the area in a different job. So she's stepped out entirely. Am my understanding that correct?
She's staying in the area and she may be back.
She may
She'll
be
be
back.
back.
Okay.
I had a conversation with her.
Good.
It's just she can't do Zooms on the computers there.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
then here's the update. Because I'm a Regis member, Regis is gone. They're nixing our building, our leases as of May 28th. But thank God Tailwind stepped in and hired Jen so Tailwind's taking over all of our leases. So she is now officially an employee as of yesterday, May 29th of Tailwind. And so she has every desire to come back. She just can't do it virtually because of their protocol. That might change with Tailwind. I don't know. I'll ask her when I'm there tomorrow.
Oh, great. Great. Good news. Thanks for that update, Tabitha. So I was, but we lost, who was the Maria?
Yeah, Maria and Keith Balster both stepped
Right.
back. Yeah, John, are you back?
Yes. Yep. I'm back.
Awesome. Yay.
Great. Great. So just our capacity, particularly on the coaching side, I think it's been a little bumpy there that I'm not sure. Tony had some other things going on that I think we were falling behind. I just wanted to make sure Jennifer or Maria was supposed to be doing some coaching. Maria, I guess I should say, that do we need to add some more capacity back in with the changes of the organizing team is my main question.
Yeah, we lost all the coaches.
Well, I mean, is Tony now out of the loop of coaching?
Tony is, I talked to him yesterday. I finally got him on the phone. I've been, trying to, get him to react. He finally responded yesterday. He has the wonderful problem of being so incredibly busy that he just hasn't had time. The community has been wonderful and has been ordering a lot from him, and he's baking night and day, he said.
Okay.
Well, it's good,
All right.
good for him. I said, that's wonderful to hear. But what
Just
about,
let us know.
yeah,
So,
keep us informed. Yeah. So it seems like for right now, he's not going to have much time. I haven't seen him respond to any of the coaching things that he's been assigned to. Really
Aaron,
public coaching.
yeah, Erin Berry, who was the next up, says she's talking to him this afternoon. So they must have
Good.
connected, and I've contacted Tony and didn't respond back. But so perhaps in the immediate one next week that Erin's okay, and if not, I've told her I can help her. So we need to get some coaching help either from the existing group or find, another resource outside. So we have any suggestion of getting some additional people to help coach?
Gary, what's your definition of coaching?
Well, and to your point, it's not about having a finished, in my mind, we've gone back and forth. My view of the coaching is just help them get prepared. It's not about being that polished and so forth, but very basically, they understand and they feel supported when they get there and connect to the resources, and at least then be prepared for the money question. One of the things that I think we're doing better than we maybe didn't originally is when somebody says, how can the community help you, that the person has an answer, okay, that they put some thought on, and they don't sit there and say, geez, give me some more customers. Well, yeah, that's nice, but that's pretty low level. So the coaching part, just helping them, and you're the expert here more than I am, having them be prepared so they can do the best they can and have a learning experience you described earlier. Not that they're, Joe's polished and so forth. And that's where we had a difference of discussion at this point, but be prepared. And again, particularly for the money question at the end. So they gain out of it. So those are some of the things I have in mind, and something that we're doing live that I think people have found helpful. Have another person kind of listen to your presentation, you know, kind of your sidekick, so they can gather with all the stuff bombarded, and you again gain as much as possible. Or have the coach follow up afterwards, which I think some of our coaches have done. I'm not sure how consistently, but that's another point. I mean, so you tell, you know, build on that. What am I missing, or am I totally off base on my expectation?
Another really important thing we're doing right now is coaching them on Zoom. Just one.
Right.
I'm doing practice sessions with people and saying, let's do a practice session. Here, I'll walk you through it. And okay,
yes.
now you take over and screen share. Okay, now listen, and now I'll take it back. And just doing that once, then they're comfortable for Wednesday.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Yvonne, and thanks for going the extra mile. Gary, I think that mindset is on point in trying to coach folks on the 1MC experience and what's involved, the value of concise simplicity and being transparently vulnerable, knowing that that can create a community hug during your Q&A. Giving those folks that type of feedback is great, paired with the logistic natures of, hey, we need your slide deck this way, or Yvonne's point, this is how Zoom works, and going through those aspects of it. One thing with that mindset, it's not really a huge bandwidth requirement, right? And so whether it's something that the group kind of manages with email, or an existing organizer just kind of raises their hand and says, I'd be happy to share how we do this whole thing. That's pretty easy to add as a new role for an existing organizer. But overall, I think the best way to coach someone is by having them attend first. And the perspective that I always tell people is like, look, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you don't know the environment that you're stepping into. And so encouraging folks to participate, whether it's virtually or in person, before they present is probably the best way to actually coach folks and keep the required bandwidth almost to zero. So that would be a quick thought on coaching. It sounds like you guys understand that really well. The other thing that I struggled with as an organizer is like, how long do you stay committed to these presenters? You know, and it gave me a sense of peace when I realized that my role as an organizer and as a platform that was 1 Million Cups was that I was helping them in this moment, knowing that you're providing an ongoing opportunity for them to continue to remain connected, continue to learn from other presenters, continue to connect with other entrepreneurs and expand their networking efforts, but also knowing how to plug them into other allies within the ecosystem. And that you don't have to be this life coach for all time, but instead providing that ongoing, consistent, safe space is truly what you're giving them on an ongoing basis. And so that's some commentary on before that moment, but also extending after that moment, knowing that 1MC is a tool within the overall ecosystem, and playing that role will reduce the, I think, perceived bandwidth that it might be required as an organizer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good summary. So we need to, we're coming up, I know we lost John and Mike. I think we lost John Considine. So given all that summary there by Ben, do we need to, can someone else help in that, what he's just described in the interim? Or can we recruit another person with that description that Ben provided to help assist? Do we have enough bandwidth with the people we have here? Do we need to add?
Tabitha just left, and she sent a text, a chat saying, let me know what else I can do to help. So maybe I can reach out to her and ask if maybe she can check in. Part of it for me, it isn't, the coaching isn't terribly time consuming. It's just that like every week you should go in and look at the website and see who's come in. And just, you know, just send a person an email or send them a note in the website saying, hey, I see you want to present. That's awesome. You know, let me chat with you a little bit and help you out, you know, and just being consistent about checking and following up. So that these people don't just apply and hear nothing for 2 weeks, you know, or
yeah,
apply and suddenly they're on the schedule and they have no idea what's going on, you know?
Right. It's just, yeah, I think it's just a matter of commit and do the basics. And if you can't do it, tell us you can't do it and we can help out. And that's where we have a gap, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Let's leave it open, put that out. The people that are still online and the other organizers, let's see if we can identify maybe some other help, and again, frame it as Ben just framed it for us. So I think we need to probably wrap up or we lose everybody else. I will try to summarize the action items. Let me just verbally go through them very quickly that I put down here. Was that, let me get my notes. Okay, so Caitlin's going to follow with Maggie. Okay, we've got Yvonne with the Zoom video to talk with Tabitha, and prime Tabitha to facilitate a Zoom discussion next week. We've got, let's see, Tyler, you're going to reach out to John and work on the promotion part there and see if we can, get some help on that. Yvonne's going to continue to facilitate the out-of-town connection, other 1MC sites. I didn't say if I'm chasing SCORE that they're supposed to help us find recruits, presenters. They have not yet provided anything, so I'm still pursuing that to get some help. I'm going to go.
Follow up with Amber.
What's this now?
Tabitha was going to follow up with Amber from Soda Sisters.
Yes, thank you. Soda Sisters, she's going to get them, so she may end up being coaching them, so to speak. I'm going to follow with Emily from Pizza Farm. That's another bring her back, hopefully. We talked about reaching out to our community members, our 1 Million Cups members, about suggestions for people to get involved. I don't know if that's something, Caitlin and Tyler, you can look at to, send some sort of message out to the people that would say they're members to say, hey, we'd like to get other good presenters, some sort of message. And again, as Ben said, and we try to promote, hey, come to the next one and check it out, the Environment 1 Million Cups. Send them that. We didn't really get an assignment there, but we need to figure out sponsorship of how we might be able to use them in another creative way. I don't know, like we talked about having a wear your hat or a favorite coffee cup. If that's something from a marketing standpoint here, maybe Caitlin and Tyler come up with one of those ideas to test drive at one of our next meetings. And then the last thing, coaches that can we increase our bandwidth by maybe getting another person to help in a coaching role besides the existing organizers. So those are some real quick that I had there, and I'll try to write up and get out to everybody. Any other major one I missed that I should make sure it's in the notes?
I was just thinking Bobby is one of our sponsor contacts, and he always comes up with great creative ideas for events and stuff. Maybe he could come up with something we could coordinate. That'd be fun.
Right.
Yeah, with respect to sponsors, you mean?
Yeah, something that some way we can involve the sponsors, in a virtual way. If you want to brainstorm some ideas, we could do a phone call or something later.
Right. I already have some good ideas because there's the event planning people are definitely coming up with new concepts on how to do events because all of the events are canceled. So there's a whole new kind of system being developed for events. But I have a technical question for you, Yvonne. I tried something at the beginning of our meeting on how I can live stream on Facebook from Zoom. So I brought in a couple of different items and I couldn't do it. Can we live stream on Facebook from Zoom?
That's actually one of I had written down, should we do live stream on Facebook? I was going to ask you all if you'd be okay with live streaming on Facebook next week and giving it a try. As the host, I'm the only person that can do that. And I just click a button and it live streams on Facebook.
Yeah. Because I can't do it from here.
Right.
Hey, how about that, Ben? Any background suggestions, tips?
I'm all over it, boss. I just threw a link into it. It sounds like Yvonne already knows how to make that connection. But thinking of Zoom as your venue, and like you might live stream a normal event, having social media create awareness, some added engagement when it comes to Facebook comments. You can throw it into YouTube as well. But one thing that we've heard from Sioux Falls is that they were having a hard time making that connection. And we went through all sorts of weird troubleshooting, thinking it was something funky. And this morning they were able to achieve the connection just by starting 5 minutes earlier. So I know that sounds like a silly fix, but if you do want to give that a whirl, it might be worth testing it. And then also going online just a couple minutes before you fire it up, knowing that that could also collect some added viewers from Facebook. The last thing I would encourage you to do is have someone monitoring that front. In case there are comments, you can bring them into the Zoom call. And even in real time, inviting folks to participate by, if they're interested in joining the conversation, getting them over into Zoom. Being aware of Zoom bombing, that's a side conversation, but as you continue to expose the experience more publicly, being prepared, knowing how to control it, but also knowing how to manage it if it happens, almost having someone dedicated to being the bouncer for your Zoom conversation makes a lot of sense as well.
Okay.
Speaking of that, I am going to change the address next week to counter the Zoom bomber thing. So new address, I'll make sure Tyler has it to put on Facebook and stuff. So it'll be a new address next week.
Great. All right.
One good backup as going to Facebook Live, I assume there's a direct connection from Zoom, but if that's an issue, there's a great piece of software called OBS Studios that could be used as a fail-safe, a backup to. It's used by a lot of video game streamers to get their stuff to Facebook, to YouTube, to Twitch, to all these other platforms.
It's real automatic. It's really easy. And I can stream to YouTube, and then we can link it to Facebook or whichever. Personally, I like to stream to YouTube because then it's easy. It's easier for people on their phones and stuff to see it than if it's built in within Facebook. But we can always then link that to Facebook too.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Okay.
All right. We're right about an hour here. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with this conversation. Just we had talked about just having organizer meetings once a month. It's been a lot going on here. Do we want to go another month, or do we want to go sooner, like the end of the month, the 27th? What's the feeling of you guys online here? How soon we should have another organizer meeting extended from the main meeting?
I think it'd be nice to touch base in a couple of weeks if we could. But.
I can't make more than once a month. My Wednesdays are pretty full already, and so to add an additional meeting is difficult.
It's legit.
All right.
So quick feedback on like the cadence of these. It depends on the culture of your organizing team, right? I remember in Des Moines, we had a text message chain. It became more of a friendly thing where, of course, we were talking about one MC, but we were also talking about everything else. And that allowed us to stay in tune with how everything was running while keeping it pretty low bandwidth requirement. We would meet like once every 2 quarters because we were so in tune with each other. And also knowing that you can get too many cooks in the kitchen, right? That kind of 4 to 6 organizers feels like it's the most efficient based off your different roles. But knowing that things are changing a little more dynamically these days, if that once a month feels like a good cadence and everyone is interested in doing it, boy, you're just going to be more in tune.
Well, let's go on, and we'll shoot for June 3rd. So once a month to come back around, and maybe we want to set up the text chain. I know Slack, but personally, we've not. Just from my view, our organizers have not really got into Slack. No offense, Ben, but we've been promoting that, and really, I've not seen a lot of traction there. But maybe the text message with simple things to put out there might be more effective. I mean, is that something that somebody could set up? I don't know how to set up a text chain or whatever.
You see, gather your phone numbers.
Yeah, no worries on that front, Gary. Slack is a workspace that connects organizers nationwide on a
right. It's good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. I'm just
but-
saying locally, I've not seen where we really have much traction on that to this point.
Understanding that is totally fair, and finding a communication channel that does work for your group, I think, is most important.
All right.
If you share your phone number in chat, then we can create a text message chain really easily. So if that's something we want to do, we can just share phone numbers.
All right.
Yvonne, knowing a couple people bumped off and new organizers come and go, know that as you add someone else to that chain, you will lose all the past conversation, which is fine, but just be aware.
Sure.
I think of a private Facebook group, of course, email chains, which can be a little bit daunting after they get convoluted.
Yeah.
If you guys are seeing each other on a normal Wednesday mornings and are also adding some extra time to chat as a group, I think there's value in keeping this balanced so that it's easy, efficient, and fun. We're all volunteers, and so not overbearing what it means to be an organizer is something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Here's my number. And I think I got everybody's who's here, and we can contact everybody else later. Cool.
All right. Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks
Thanks
Ben.
a lot. Thanks, Ben. Thanks
It has
for
been a
everybody.
pleasure, my
Thanks, Ben.
friends.
Take care.
Appreciation from Kaufman, from me, from all of your community members for the work that you guys are passionately doing as a team. When Wednesdays become your favorite day of the week, this can be much less work and much more fun. So, my friends, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye all.
Thank you.
All right.